Hello, everybody. Recording live from somewhere.
It's The Session with Mel G.
And now for my next number, I'd like to return to the
classic. I think that we should start with the session. But before we begin, let me ask you a few questions. Have you
crack a smile, fuck my opponent. So much action on these corners. Oh.
Welcome to Classes in Session, Episode 8. I'm your host, Mel G, and it's a pleasure to be back for another episode. Today we're covering 1,000 Miles by Dave East off of his newest project, How Did I Get Here, entirely produced by MikeNKeys. You may have heard of the production duo from producing for Nipsey Hussle on Victory Lap. They basically worked on the whole project, 10 plus years with Nip, and they also produced What It Feels Like by Jay-Z and Nip, Penthouse and Handsome by Dave East, for Kalani, and many, many others. So basically the project is 9 tracks, and they did an amazing job. We kick it off with the album cover. Is basically Dave East's mom holding him as a kid, and then on the back cover with all the track names is a picture of Dave East and his little brother standing in the woods / snow. So it's just a nice nostalgic feel to the whole album. And Dave mentions he was in a different zone. He didn't have to search for it, he was already locked in when he did this project, and it seems like they recorded the whole project basically in a week, according to one of his videos on IG, so I thought that was pretty impressive based on the quality of work here. There are some great features on the project, kicking it off with track 1, which is with Method Man. I mean, obviously, if you watch the Wu-Tang series on Hulu, Dave East actually plays Method Man on the show, so I think it's so dope to catch him on a track again. And they just kill it. Method Man did his damn thing. Then we move on to the next track, Deeper Than Love with Music Soul Child. Of course, he's a classic R&B legend. There's another song called After Taxes, where basically explains that once you get $1 million, they tax you like crazy. So after taxes is not really that much, so I thought that was interesting. He also has a song featuring Anthony Hamilton. It's called John Lennon, and he was killed by a super fan of his, so Dave is basically expressing his fear of that also happening to him, or being shot by a loved one or someone he cares about, or a fan, in this case. There's another song featuring Kalan For Real, which is a new guy I've never heard of, but they did well on the track. It's called No Cocaine. Trey the Truth also makes an appearance, which I think is super dope, and I love it. It seems like they really have a close friendship, and they both killed it on the track. Benny the Butcher is also featured here, which he also just dropped the project, Tana Talk 4. Be on the lookout for that. And of course, Benny always does his thing. And on the last track, Gregory Hines, he got his brother on it, so it's just like a nice wrap-up to the whole project. He just recently celebrated his oldest daughter's 6th birthday, which is super cute. I love seeing him do his family thing. It's just really nice. And he also had a listening party for the album. One of the coolest business ventures he recently did was open his own bodega / deli joint, which I think is super authentic to who he is, being from New York. And he also is selling some clothes. He has like smoke shop vibes going on, so I think it's awesome for him to expand his entrepreneurship in that way. And he's always collaborating with different brands on new clothes, so I feel like it all ties in together. So the song I'm covering today is track 2 on the project, called 1,000 Miles. So let's get into it. Verse 1, he kicks it off. My mama had 2 real ones, I just happen to be the oldest. He has a little brother named Earl, so I just feel like right in the opening he's talking about his life and how it got started. With his passion, I'm gonna kill it, crack a smile, fuck my opponents. I can always tell that he's super passionate and a hard worker in the studio, and he has a beautiful smile, so I'm glad he's smiling in the face of his opponents. And just no fucks given, he's just really happy. So much action on these corners. Old head came home from a quarter. He's been down since 97. Phones is out, it's recording. He could barely work an iPhone. He wake up and he programmed this. Could build like Conan. He used to be the dope man. I love how he paints a picture here about an old head from the block. Was down for 25 years, and now that he's out, so much has changed. So it's just like, again, dope picture painting. Early mornings we was out there grinding like a slow jam. Never touched no paper, now I can put it in my bro's hands. Grinding like a slow jam is crazy. I love that, and I love how he's describing his story here. How he came from nothing, but now through the success of rap, he's been able to provide for his family and tell his brother he's got him. I can tell you about them hoes, about these snakes, about these haters, about revenge besides murder, never stop getting your paper. I love this here because he's talking from experience and all the shit that he's seen, and also that there's a better way to seek revenge. It's not all about killing people and killing each other. The best revenge is to get your paper up. Fast break, you got the ball, just focus up and score the layup. Celebrate all of your wins, put on some Hov and pour some Ace up. I love the basketball reference here because, that was another career path that he might have gone by, and he just loves basketball in general. Shout out to Hov, of course, he's the man, he's the soundtrack to a lot of people's lives, whether winning or losing, in this case winning and celebrating, and of course he's the owner of Ace of Spades now, which is super dope. Really from them blocks where get shot every day though. You tough, right? My name came in with a felony like J.O., just me, Shooter, and Drano. I love the Paid in Full reference here, such a popular one, of course. Shout out to Cameron. And here he mentions his people, Shooter, may he rest in peace, and Drano, another homie of his. Then we get into the chorus. 1,000 miles from home, still I feel like I'm home. I study Rich, I study Gotti, I study Capone. Kick a king right out his throne, I'm in a different zone. I really love the streets, so hard to leave that bitch alone. Here he mentions some of the people he studied on the come up. Of course, some well-known drug dealers and gangsters, Rich Porter, John Gotti, and Al Capone. And as I mentioned earlier, even here he mentions how he really is in a different zone these days. So then he continues. 1,000 miles from home, still I feel like I'm home. I smell like money, I got on some rich cologne. Call a lawyer, what it gonna cost to bring money home? He's got money now, so he's smelling different. And with all that money, he's still trying to figure out how he can help his people that are locked up. We get into verse 2. Return of the Mac, shout out to Drano, watching The Godfather. Really got me watching for Fredo, because it's Flago. I think by Flago he means flagrant, so I thought that was an interesting little slang word that he threw in there. And of course he's trying to watch out for people who can betray him, like Fredo and The Godfather. Drugs, sports, and entertainment, things they always seem to mention. Thoughts is taking over. NYPD trying to make their quota. You lost, thought it was coke, they sold you baking soda. They got you. Drugs, sports, and entertainment, I feel like that's also kind of a reference to Cameron. You know, he has an album called Sports, Drugs, and Entertainment. And of course, cops always trying to meet their stupid quotas, which I think is annoying as hell. And the last part, he talks about someone trying to be a big boss, buying some coke. Yet he was fooled and bought baking soda instead, hence calling him lost. So I thought that was an interesting little depiction. I got this hunger inside my body, I just can't control it. I'm not the one that came to lease, bitch, I came to own it. Dave has always demonstrated his hunger, and he displays it here on this track and this whole project. He mentioned how he doesn't come to lease, he comes to own shit, and I love that because he's proving it by opening up the deli. I came from perks and spilling soda, hoop these bending corners. I ain't stopping till me and my brothers like the fucking Jonas. Again, talking about where he comes from and where he's going, and he doesn't want to stop till him and his family are as successful as the Jonas Brothers. Hated or love at 50 in game, because you knew your whole life, money make them look at you strange, can't explain it. This closing is super factual, shout out to 50 in game, of course, for their classic track. But the way he talks about people you've known your whole life, and you know, once you become successful, it's an important lesson and something he can't even begin to explain. That jealousy and hate, it just comes out from people you thought you were always cool with. The chorus again to close out the track. And I'm just super proud of Dave. Again, this project was pretty solid. He's done other projects like Hoffa, you know, he did with Harry Fraud. He's doing this one with MikeNKeys, and I'm getting really locked in with these producers. I've been a fan of him, as you can see from my shirt, the Type of Time famous quote, I did a lot but never hated. I've been a fan of his for a while now, and I'm just proud of him to see him continuing to do better. And these projects are just well put together, you know what I mean? So that's a wrap for this song. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Classes in Session, episode 8. Today we broke down 1,000 Miles by Dave East from his new project with MikeNKeys, How Did I Get Here? Check it out if you have the chance. The songs are amazing, and I'm really proud of him, man. This has been episode 8. I'm your host, Mel G. It's been a pleasure, man. One love. Take care. See you soon.
Hated or love it, 50 in game. Niggas knew you all your life. Money make them look at you strange, can't explain it. 1,000 miles from home, still it feel like I'm home. I study Rich, I study Gotti, I study Capone. Kick a king right out the throne, I'm in a different zone. I really love the streets so hard.